horses that stretches back to my childhood. For not only was I born in the year that the NATRC was formed, but I was born on the very day that the very first sanctioned ride ever took place at Mount Diablo in California on April the 15th, 1961. I've been riding horses for as long as I can remember. My dad preferred gaited horses, but when I was 15 years old, I persuaded him to buy me a barrel racing horse. Then after my husband Ron and I married in 1979, I continued to rodeo, and we also team rode. I trained horses professionally for many years, and we raced both paints and quarter horses. Then one day I realized that my hobby had become a job, and that wasn't fun anymore. I stopped training, and I went to work in the public school system, and we decided to liquidate our breeding stock. But we would keep back 2 colts to replace our aging riding horses. The year was 2002, and I would soon discover a new sport that would change and define my life. But first, I'm going to stop in the middle of my story and thank some people that have been very instrumental in Diamond and myself achieving this prestigious award. First is my husband of almost 46 years, Ronald. He took care of our rig, traveled with me throughout the year, and from day one, he always believed that we could do this. He never doubted us. And he also cooked all of our meals. Thank you. My family, a beautiful family, for all of their support and their understanding in what chasing this goal has meant to me, as I was absent for a lot of things. Our neighbors, who are also our cousins, Brad and Lee Smith, for taking care of things at home and leaving special gifts of support on my counter when we got home. That is a beautiful pewter antique horse head that they left. We got home, and there it was on my counter. My many, many friends and fellow riders for your help, advice, encouragement, and kind words throughout the year. And especially to Johnny Jewell for putting together this great slideshow. That was a lot of work. Our longtime friend and farrier, Steve Ballou, for constantly rearranging his schedule to keep Diamond shod and sound. Ron and I had a trip planned in March of 2014, so he and his wife Sherry kept our mare Star, and so of course Diamond was born on his place. Sherry said that she had imprinted Diamond for me, but she's always been hard to shoe on the left rear, so we think she missed a foot. And a very, very special thank you goes to my friend, longtime rider Beverly Roberts, who does so very many things for NATRC. For without her generosity, this amazing journey would not have begun. You see, it all really started back in the spring of 2003. A little buckskin paint filly was born on my birthday at our farm, and I named her RPH, Go Special Star. And then I happened to see an advertisement for an NATR competition that was held near our town of Jefferson, Texas. It sounded interesting, and through the internet, I met local riders, Paul O'Reilly, Ginger Bailey, and Larry Gould. And that fall, I went to my first ride at Robbers Cave in Oklahoma, and I rode my barrel horse, Stormy. We didn't place very well, but Ronald and I were hooked, for we knew we had found our people. While Star was growing up, I competed another mare we owned, doing a season of novice, and then stepping up to open, learning about the sport. Eventually, Star was old enough to start going to rides, but she had suffered a very serious injury as a young horse, and I was advised that she would never see a trail. But she saw 1,280 miles in competition, earned 2 open national championships, And in 2012, she and I embarked on the magical journey of 16 rides, the most you can count in a season. I was working full-time, but we juggled my days off to make the 13 rides in Region 4 and 3 more in Kansas with Region 6. And Star and I ended the year as the #1 open lightweight in both horse and horsemanship in the national standings. My dear friend Tammy Lineback and Susie Stardust won the President's Cup that year. We had ridden and traveled throughout the season and had many fond memories and were friends still today. Star's earlier injury had been plaguing her, and so I knew at the conclusion of the last ride what I wanted to do. She was retired, and I contacted Beverly to ask if she still had her black Arabian stallion, and could I please breed my champion mare. Her reply came back, yes, we still have Raven, but he's 26 years old, and we haven't bred him in many years. And as my heart sank, Beverly came back and said, why don't you come get him, and he can winter in Texas where it's warmer, and try to get your mare in foal. And so that's exactly what we did. In March 2014, a very, very sassy little black pinto half-Arabian filly was born, and I named her RPH Ebony Diamond, and all of NATRC watched her grow up. Johnny Jewel has reminded me that she is special, for she follows the philosophy of being specifically bred and trained for this sport, and she is a third-generation NATRC horse. Ronald rode safety on her grandmother. I spent the next few years acquiring a horsemanship judging card, and therefore seeing the sport from a whole different perspective. But soon Diamond was a 5-year-old, and I started serious training. The spring of her 6-year-old year, we attended our first competition starting out in the open division, where I think we passed on at least 3 of the observations. But we continued to work on her conditioning, saddle fit, diet, and all the things that she needed to know to be successful. In 2022, we missed some rides when she stepped in a hole and strained her suspensory. But she came back and earned her first sweepstakes and her first Open National Championship. Then, in December, she won the Jingle Bell Jump, the first ride of the 2023 season, and was then sidelined yet again with an abscess. Again, she came back to earn her second Open National Championship. Then it was December again, and once more she won Jingle Bell, the first ride of 2024. But this time the magic didn't stop. We kept going to rides, winning and placing well, and staying sound. Next, we went on to San Antonio for the stroll along the Medina River. Then to the very long-running ride Scamper on the 7IO Ranch, site of her very first ride 3 years prior. Our fourth ride was the surprisingly tough red dirt trail in Louisiana. We had cold rain, and Diamond received her lowest score when her hindquarter muscles were stiff and tight. Dr. Tamara Gull was judging and suggested a different electrolyte protocol and minerals, which corrected her problems, and we had no more issues. Then we traveled east to Alabama for Spring in Dixie at the beautiful and historic Camp McClellan here in Region 5, where she took first with a very high score of 98. Traveling west back home, we just missed the eclipse. Back in Texas, we competed the Rocky Raising the Bar, which became a one-day B ride due to the heavy rainfall. We definitely had needed good rain gear this whole season. Then we got to stay close to home in lovely East Texas piney woods for Leave No Trace, just 3 hours from the house. Kansas was next on our list, starting out our summer of 5 out-of-region rides in a row and an awful lot of driving. By May, I had started paying attention to the points. planning out our trips, and Diamond just kept going strong. On long drives, we started leaving home on Wednesday, breaking up the haul so that Diamond would get more rest. We brought along our Catahoula, Cato, who was like her emotional support dog. On May the 29th, the day before we were to leave for Kannapolis, Kansas, I went out to feed and something clearly wasn't right. Diamond was walking very slowly towards the barn, which was very unusual for her, and she was drooling. When I saw her hugely swollen jaw, I feared that it was a snake bite. It ended up being a big nest of wasps by the water trough that had stung her. All day long, we applied hydro, ice, and mud packs, deciding to forego any medications. That night, I coated her jaw thickly with a mud poultice and put a lycra fly mask on her and went to bed. Early the next morning, she greeted me with a nicker. She had eaten all of her hay, drank in a bucket of water, and all the heat and swelling was gone. So I ran back into the house yelling for Ron to get up and get dressed because we were headed to Kansas. Diamond placed second at Kannapolis Canyons, beaten by the wonderful Jack, and earned the final points for her third Open National Championship. Then we headed to Hillsdale, Kansas for Back in the Saddle, and it was very, very hot. She lost the first and only P&R point for the season at that ride, 1 point for respiration. August was a very, very long trek to Brushy Creek in Iowa, where she owned another sweepstakes. There were 8% grades going into camp, so I can say that Iowa is definitely not all flat. Now, I have always wanted to attend Ride the Edge in Jamestown, Tennessee, and this September I finally got my chance. It is such a beautiful and scenic ride. Diamond scored a 99.5. Then it was back west to Kansas for the Jesse James Ride Out, where we also got to eat a cheeseburger in paradise at the local restaurant. That was so much fun. We had traveled so far all summer from our home in Northeast Texas. Diamond hauled and camped well, always loading, eating, and drinking on the road. She continued to stay sound and to place high, and we were having fun, sharing adventures, and making many lifetime memories. The four of us, me, my husband Ronald, Diamond, and our dog Cato, were very often joined on the road by our friend Marilyn Bivens and her horse Rocky as we chased our dreams and our goals. In October, we finally returned to Region 4 and to Texas for the Grasslands Gamble. Placing second and winning horsemanship, we won their special High Point Combo Award, a beautiful hand-burned plaque that was donated by a brand new member. In early November, I traveled to the last ride in Region 4 at Bell Cow Lake in Oklahoma alone. We endured a tornado scare on Saturday night with the sirens going off, and we rode in cold driving rain all day Sunday, placing third. This was our 14th competition. We had traveled almost 12,000 miles and ridden 810 miles in 7 states and 3 regions. I had asked my horse to do this for me, and she had never wavered from our goal. I had 2 more rides on the calendar in Kansas and in Alabama, but there was more cold and rain predicted, and I had family events at home that I was missing. I was packed to be gone for 2 weeks, but after counting our points, I decided that we were going home. I knew that we had achieved what I had set forth to do. This year has been so very amazing, riding in new places, making new friends, and unforgettable memories. Thank you to all of the ride managers and volunteers that made this season and all seasons happen. Thank you to everyone that has sponsored our lovely awards. Today, And to David, thank you, Sally. Thank you to David and Tracy Caden for generously donating this beautiful specialized saddle. And thanks to our regional representative, John Knoll, for your support, help, and beautiful photography capturing our memories. Both of you have done so much for the riders and are very appreciated. I'd like to also recognize my friend Chris Wedge for offering me her home while I was traveling. To Jan Stewart for her prayers for safe travel and rides always. To Marilyn Bivens for Diamond's very special good luck halter that she wore all year. And to Jennifer Krause for tagging behind me at most of the rides, helping to stay on trail. Thanks to so many of you for just being there when I was tired and stressed. When people are asked what they learned from this sport, they usually mention better horsemanship and better horse care. And I've learned all of those things too. But when I think what this sport, and especially this year, has taught me, I realize that I've learned perseverance, determination, preparedness, and most of all, humility. I've learned to be a better rider, but I hope a better person as well. To you, the riders, set goals, follow your dreams, and always believe in yourself and your horse. Congratulations to all of you that have achieved your goals and won amazing awards this season. Thank you.